Have you noticed something strange happening to you? You meet someone attractive, interesting, compatible. All the ingredients are there, but nothing ignites. No butterflies, no obsession, no falling. You're present, you're engaged. But that overwhelming pull everyone calls falling in love, it just doesn't happen anymore. And you wonder, is something broken in me? Have I become too detached, too analytical, too damaged to feel that magic everyone else seems to experience? If you've been worrying that your heart has closed, take a breath. Because what you're experiencing isn't emotional death or inability to love. Carl Jung spent decades studying what happens to people after psychological awakening, and he discovered something that challenges everything romantic culture teaches. Awakened people don't fall in love, not because they can't love, but because they've transcended the psychological mechanism that creates falling. I'm about to share 5 truths about why awakened people no longer fall in love. And if you've been blaming yourself for not feeling that desperate pull anymore, you may finally understand that you haven't lost your capacity for love. You've just outgrown unconscious love, and that's not a loss. It's an evolution. Here's what Jung understood that romantic culture desperately hides. Falling in love isn't actually love, it's projection. And when you awaken, when you integrate your psyche and withdraw your projections, falling becomes impossible. Think about what falling in love actually feels like. Overwhelming attraction, obsessive thoughts, a sense that this person completes something in you. You can't stop thinking about them. You feel alive in their presence. You're convinced they're the one, special, different, meant for you. Romantic culture calls this love. Songs, movies, stories, all celebrate this feeling as the highest expression of human connection. We're told to seek it, to chase it, to organize our lives around finding it. But Jung saw something else. He recognized falling in love as a specific psychological phenomenon. You project your unconscious opposite, your anima or animus, onto another person, then fall in love with your own projection. You're not actually seeing the other person. You're seeing your own disowned qualities reflected back. The feelings aren't about them. They're about encountering parts of yourself you've kept unconscious, now externalized onto someone else. This creates the intensity, the obsession, the sense of completion. Because psychologically, you are completing something. You're encountering your missing pieces through projection onto another. But when you awaken, when you do the inner work of integrating your anima or animus, of reclaiming your projections, of becoming whole, this mechanism stops working. You can't project what you've already integrated. You can't fall in love with your missing pieces when you've already found them within yourself. So you stop falling, not because you've become incapable of love, but because you've become incapable of the unconscious projection that creates falling. Let me show you exactly why this happens. The first truth about why awakened people don't fall in love is the foundation. And once you understand this, everything about your experience suddenly makes sense. Here's how falling in love actually works psychologically. Men carry within them an unconscious feminine side, what Jung called the anima. Women carry an unconscious masculine side, the animus. Most people keep these qualities unconscious, unintegrated, disowned. When you meet someone who matches your unconscious opposite, you project your anima or animus onto them. Suddenly they seem to embody everything you've been missing. They feel like your other half, your completion, your soulmate. You fall in love with them, but you're actually falling in love with your own disowned qualities reflected back through them. The intensity, the obsession, the feeling of completion, all of it comes from encountering your unconscious self externalized. But through your awakening, through shadow work, through individuation, through whatever process brought you to consciousness, you've integrated your anima or animus. You've brought your unconscious opposite into consciousness. You've become internally whole, containing both masculine and feminine within yourself. And now, when you meet someone, there's nothing to project. You see them as they actually are, a complete person with their own psychology, not as a container for your disowned qualities. Think of projection like two incomplete puzzle pieces desperately seeking each other. Each piece is missing half its image. When they find each other and click together, it feels magical, destined, complete. We fit perfectly. We're meant to be. The intensity comes from the relief of finally feeling whole through the other piece. But awakened people aren't incomplete puzzle pieces anymore. Through inner work, you've become complete puzzles, full images unto yourselves. When you meet another puzzle piece, there's no desperate clicking together, just two complete images appreciating each other's wholeness. The other piece might be beautiful, interesting, well-crafted, but you don't need it to complete your image. You're already whole. So instead of that magnetic pull of incompleteness seeking completion, there's just calm appreciation. And to people still operating as incomplete pieces, that calm looks like absence of love. But it's not absence. It's presence without desperation. This is the first reason. You've integrated what you used to project. And without projection, the mechanism that creates falling simply doesn't operate anymore. You're not broken. You've just become too whole to fall. But understanding projection is just the beginning. This second truth reveals something even more profound about how your vision has changed. Before awakening, romantic attraction involved heavy idealization. You'd meet someone, project your ideal onto them, then fall in love with the idealized version. You'd overlook their flaws, ignore red flags, and see them as more perfect than they actually were. This idealization is necessary for falling. You need to see someone as special, extraordinary, different from everyone else. The idealized image is what you fall for, not the actual person. But awakened people have lost the capacity for romantic idealization. Through shadow work and integration, you've developed the ability to see people accurately, including their shadows, their wounds, their limitations. When you meet someone now, you see them fully from the beginning, their strengths and their weaknesses, their light and their shadow, their potential and their limitations. You see the whole person, not an idealized fantasy. One man Jung worked with was a writer who'd done deep psychological work. Before this work, he'd fall intensely for women, idealizing them completely. He'd see each one as perfect, special, his salvation. Then reality would intrude. He'd see their actual personality, their real limitations, and he'd be devastated that they weren't the fantasy he'd created. After his integration work, he met a woman he was genuinely attracted to, but this time, he saw her clearly from the start. He noticed her intelligence and her insecurity, her kindness and her need for control, her depth and her avoidance patterns. He saw all of it, the whole person. He told Jung, "I like her, but I don't think I'm falling for her. I can see who she actually is, not some perfect fantasy." "Is that a problem?" Jung said, "That's not a problem. That's clarity." You're seeing her as a real person rather than a projection screen. This clarity might feel less intense than falling, but it's the foundation for actual love rather than unconscious infatuation. The relationship developed, not through falling, but through conscious choice. He chose to be with her, knowing exactly who she was, not despite her flaws, but including them in his understanding of her whole person. There were no surprises months later when the real her emerged, because he'd seen the real her from day one. This is the second reason. You see people as they actually are, and clear sight makes idealization impossible. Without idealization, there's no falling, only the possibility of conscious, clear-eyed love. Now, this third lesson changes everything, because it reveals the deepest transformation that's happened within you, the one that makes falling not just impossible, but unnecessary. Here's the truth about most falling in love. It's driven by incompleteness. You feel like something's missing in you. Then you meet someone who seems to have what you lack. They feel like your missing piece, your other half, your completion. The intensity of falling comes from this desperate need. You need them to feel whole. You need their presence to feel complete. You can't imagine life without them, because without them, you'd return to feeling incomplete. But through your inner work, you've achieved something rare. Internal wholeness, not perfection, wholeness. You've integrated your shadow. You've reclaimed your projections. You've developed a complete relationship with yourself. You don't feel like something's missing anymore. You're not searching for someone to complete you. You're already complete. Think of most people as magnets split in half, positive on one side, negative on the other. They're powerful magnets, but divided. The positive pole desperately seeks the negative pole. The magnetic pull is overwhelming, constant, fundamental to their existence. They feel incomplete, unstable, always seeking their opposite to feel balanced. When two split magnets find each other, positive connecting with negative, the attraction is intense, consuming, irresistible. They slam together with force and call it destiny, soulmate connection, meant to be. I can't live without you. You complete me. But it's not love. It's the magnetic force of two incomplete halves seeking wholeness through each other. You, through your inner work, have integrated both poles within yourself. You're still magnetic, still have presence, depth, attractive energy, but you're a complete magnet now. You contain both positive and negative poles internally, integrated and balanced within yourself. You're stable, whole, self-contained. Now, when you meet split magnets desperately seeking their other half, there's no slam-together force. They're looking for someone to complete their incompleteness. But you have nothing incomplete to match with theirs. You're already balanced, already whole, already complete. And when you're complete, there's no desperate need driving you toward others. You might want connection, companionship, intimacy, but you don't need it to feel whole. The desperation is gone. This is the third reason. You don't need anyone to complete you. The desperation that creates falling comes from incompleteness. You've become whole, and wholeness doesn't fall. It chooses consciously from a place of already being complete. If you're recognizing yourself in these truths, if you've integrated your projections, if you see people clearly, if you don't need completion, please understand, you haven't lost your capacity for love. You've lost your capacity for unconscious infatuation. And that's not a loss, it's an evolution. Jung never said that awakened people can't love. He said they can't fall because falling is unconscious projection, and awakened people have become too conscious to project. What you're capable of now is something deeper, more real, more sustainable than falling ever was. Conscious love. Before we explore the final two reasons, check out our new guide, True Self-Discovery, with 24 practical reflection exercises designed to help you find your way within. Click below to get True Self-Discovery. Let's continue. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because this fourth truth exposes what most people are actually doing when they think they're falling in love. Many people fall in love as a way to escape themselves. They're uncomfortable with their own inner world, their loneliness, their emptiness, their unresolved wounds. Then they meet someone who makes them forget about all that discomfort. Suddenly, instead of facing your inner emptiness, you're thinking about them. Instead of sitting with your loneliness, you're obsessing over when you'll see them again. Instead of doing inner work, you're consumed by the intensity of new romance. Falling in love becomes a socially acceptable way to avoid yourself. You're not being avoidant, you're in love. You're not escaping inner work, you're pursuing connection. The intensity feels like growth when it's actually distraction. But awakened people have stopped running from themselves. You've done the inner work. You've sat with the loneliness, processed the wounds, integrated the shadow. You've learned to be with yourself, and you're no longer desperate to escape that experience. One man Jung worked with had a pattern of falling intensely whenever life felt difficult. Struggling in his career, fall in love. Facing family issues, fall in love. Feeling empty and directionless, fall in love. Romance was his escape hatch from inner discomfort. Through therapy, he learned to stay with his discomfort instead of escaping into romance. He processed his pain, integrated his shadows, learned to be with himself in difficulty. He became comfortable with his own inner experience. After this work, he met someone attractive during a challenging life period, but he didn't fall. The old pattern didn't activate. He appreciated her, but he wasn't consumed by her. He told Jung, "Usually I'd be obsessing about her, using the new relationship energy to escape whatever's hard in my life. But I'm not doing that. I'm still present to my life, my challenges, myself." Is that normal? Jung said, "That's what awakening looks like. You're no longer using relationship as escape. Most people think they fall in love with someone, but often they're falling away from themselves. You've stopped running from yourself, so you don't need the escape that falling provides." The man stayed present to his difficulties instead of disappearing into romantic obsession. He dealt with his career struggles directly. He faced his family issues without distraction. He sat with his emptiness and did the work to fill it from within, rather than seeking someone else to fill it for him. This is the fourth reason. You're not seeking escape anymore. Much of falling is unconscious escape from inner discomfort. You've learned to be with yourself, so you don't need the distraction that falling into someone else provides. And now, this final truth might be the most liberating of all, because it reveals what becomes possible when you finally stop falling and start choosing. Here's the deepest truth about falling in love. It's involuntary. It happens to you. You don't choose it. It chooses you. You feel helpless in the face of it, swept away, powerless. I can't help it. I've fallen. Romantic culture celebrates this lack of choice. You can't choose who you fall for. Love strikes like lightning. When you know, you know. All of this frames love as something that happens to you beyond your control. But Jung recognized this involuntary falling as unconscious love, Love that happens when you're still operating through projection and need. It feels powerful because it's unconscious forces overwhelming your conscious will. Awakened people have moved beyond this. You understand now that real love isn't something that happens to you. It's something you consciously choose. You choose to love someone knowing exactly who they are, what they bring, what challenges will arise. You choose with eyes open, awareness intact, consciousness engaged. Think of falling like being pushed down a hill. You're tumbling, helpless, out of control. Your body rolls and bounces without your permission. You might enjoy the rush, the adrenaline, the wild sensation of being completely out of control. It feels intense, exciting, powerful, precisely because you have no control over it. Forces beyond you are determining your trajectory, your speed, where you'll land. People at the bottom watching you tumble say, "Wow, what a rush. That looks amazing." They celebrate your out-of-control descent. They call it romantic, exciting, the thrill of love. And you can't stop yourself. You're tumbling whether you want to or not. But conscious love is like walking deliberately across a landscape. You see where you're going. You choose each step. You're aware of the terrain, the rocky patches, the smooth paths, the steep inclines. You can change direction if needed. You can stop and rest. You can turn back if the path doesn't serve you. It's less dramatic because you're in control, but it's more real because you're conscious of what you're doing and why. People watching might say, "That looks boring. Where's the excitement?" But falling down a hill is thrilling for a moment, but walking consciously is how you actually get somewhere meaningful. This conscious choosing feels less dramatic than falling. There's no overwhelming compulsion, no sense of being swept away, no feeling that fate has decided for you, just conscious decision. I see you clearly, and I choose to love you. This is the fifth reason. You understand love as choice, not compulsion. Falling is unconscious compulsion. Real love is conscious choice. And once you've awakened to the difference, falling feels like giving up your consciousness, and you're no longer willing to do that, even for romance. If you've recognized yourself in these 5 truths, please understand. You haven't lost your capacity for love. You've lost your capacity for unconscious infatuation and gained the capacity for something infinitely more real. You don't fall in love anymore because you've integrated what you used to project, making projection impossible. You see people as they actually are, making idealization impossible. You don't need anyone to complete you, making desperate need impossible. You're not seeking escape anymore, making relationship as distraction impossible. You understand love as choice, making unconscious compulsion undesirable. These aren't losses, they're achievements. You've moved from unconscious infatuation to conscious love, from projection to clear seeing, from need to choice, from compulsion to freedom. Jung never said, awakened people can't love. He said they love differently, more consciously, more clearly, more freely than unconscious people can imagine. If you're no longer falling in love, I want you to hear this clearly. You haven't become incapable of love. You've become incapable of unconscious love, and that's not a loss. It's an evolution towards something more real. The intensity you're missing wasn't love. It was projection, idealization, need, escape, and compulsion wrapped in romantic language. It felt powerful because it was unconscious forces overwhelming your consciousness. What you're capable of now is conscious love. You can see someone clearly and choose to love them anyway. You can be whole yourself and still want to share your life with another whole person. You can love without needing, choose without compulsion, commit without losing yourself. This conscious love won't feel like falling. It won't sweep you away or make you lose control. It won't feel like destiny or fate. It will feel like clear-eyed choice. And that might seem unromantic to people still seeking the intoxication of falling. But you know something they don't. Intoxication isn't love. Compulsion isn't connection. Falling isn't sustainable. And unconscious romance always crashes when reality intrudes on projection. You're not broken for no longer falling. You're awake. And awakened people don't fall. They choose consciously, love clearly, and build relationships based on reality rather than projection. That's not a loss. That's what real love actually looks like. If this explained your experience with love, subscribe for Jungian psychology that honors conscious relating over romantic fantasy. To dive even deeper into Jung's revolutionary psychology and what it means for your spiritual awakening, click the recommended video on your screen now. Remember, you haven't lost your capacity for love. You've lost your capacity for unconscious infatuation, and what you've gained, the ability to love consciously, is worth infinitely more than any falling you've left behind.